After all, I think I began to forgive God. Somehow, I've accepted that in His eternal wisdom, He may have had some reason. Well, we were born Jewish, but we were very assimilated. To avoid any rumors, we attended a synagogue, which at the time was on Sazavska Street. We used to go there 3 times a year, on New Year's Day, then on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and also on another occasion where there was a lot of waving something around and candies being given out. My sister and I eagerly participated. Why not? As a child, I used to imagine God in different forms, and when something went wrong, I would turn to Him and say, "Listen, can you help me?" Or, "What can I do for you?" That was my way of bargaining with God. I'm a psychiatrist. I try to explain to people why they do or don't do things. I listen to them, and I try to help them make better decisions. They keep asking for my advice, which is awful because when something goes wrong, it's my fault. And if I advise someone, I take away that person's ability to make his or her own decisions. My grandfather was religious in his own way. When there was a thunderstorm, he would put the Bible on the table and open it to a certain page. It was all in Hebrew and a mystery to me. But you could tell he believed in something. When lightning rods appeared, he had one installed, and then a second one. I remember as a boy climbing up the ladder and polishing the tips of the rods, which were gilded and had to be shiny. The house was on a hill, so lightning would strike those 2 rods during every storm. But he didn't put the Bible on the table anymore.
This is Ruda as a little boy with his father. It's somewhere in Prague, as you can see. This is his sister, his mother, his grandmother and grandfather.
Then there was a terrible tragedy. When I was 10, my 14-year-old sister jumped out of the window. We lived on the 6th floor, so this event changed my life profoundly. My parents were afraid to make another mistake and gave me the freedom to do practically anything I wanted. I'm trying to promote a method that I call treatment by laughter. I help patients by making them laugh, instead of just sitting there and meditating about how to interpret their words. Yes?
Hello.
Hello. My goodness, you're still alive? Well, it would be a shame if you weren't. Look, you've survived such a long time. Don't you think you should stick around just a while longer? When I hear a patient who is not only sad, but also deeply depressed, and even suicidal, still laughing as they leave my office and enter the elevator, I consider that a success. Now a terrible thing happened. I started to write. They even started to publish it, which is a tragedy. When Hitler came to power, our Greek professor wore an SA uniform, and our German professor had a big swastika on his lapel. I was Jewish, and that was no good. We were forbidden everything imaginable. For example, we weren't allowed to walk on the sidewalk, and certain neighborhoods were completely off limits. We had to wear a star. It's not a pleasant feeling. I just wanted to get out of this place and go anywhere else.
We became members of a youth club, which gave us somewhere to go and something to do together as members of the same group.
I met Eva there. She was a very pretty girl, almost 16. I was 2 years older, reasonably fit, and with raging hormones. It quickly became clear that we liked each other and made a good couple.
We went wherever we could, but especially wherever we weren't allowed. We also went to the movies from time to time without wearing our stars. We were afraid someone might come there and check our papers, but it never happened.
There was one part of Prague where we were permitted to walk around freely, the old Jewish cemetery in the center. Nobody ever came there. We would walk happily between the tombstones as the sun went down. I had an overtime permit, and we could sit, for instance, on the tombstone of Rabbi Levi. We consecrated Rabbi Levi. It was wonderful. When I worked as a male nurse, I got a permit from the Gestapo that allowed me to be in the street after 8 p.m. and to use the streetcars. I had to stand on the rear platform. I would get on the streetcar at 1 a.m. with the star on my coat. About half or three-quarters of the passengers would nearly faint. They would try to stand around me to hide me. But there was always some bastard to tell everyone that there was a Jew.
We were returning by streetcar from Podbaba. Suddenly, there was an official announcement through the loudspeakers, in Czech and German, that Heydrich, the highest representative of Hitler in Prague, had been assassinated. That was the beginning of the end. At that time, my father was in Pankratz prison, and my mother was at home with me. She'd already been released from Pankratz. As a punishment, we were included in the transport to the death camp. We had to report to the exhibition hall where 1,000 people gradually assembled. They sat on the floor with little children crawling over them. I was crying. My mother kept on comforting me. She said that it was good that the innocence of my youth was over. You can say goodbye to a good time with Rudy.
I went to the Jewish council where I knew some of the elders. I asked them what I could do. They said there was nothing to be done. There was no way to get someone out of the transports to camps. They told me the only thing I could do was to sign up as a volunteer. This meant first going to the Gestapo for a permit. Then I had to go to the SS division responsible for the transports. I did it all within a couple of hours. No one hit me or spat on me. No one imprisoned me. They couldn't understand whether I was serious or whether I was crazy, but they issued the permit. Then 2 SS men put me into a Mercedes. It was my first ride in Mercedes, and I thought perhaps the last one. They drove me to the exhibition hall. The SS guard there didn't know where to put me because I was wearing high boots, riding breeches, and a blue coat. My hair was cut short, and I clicked my heels. He took my backpack and led me inside. Eva's mother fainted, and Eva almost fainted too. I was in love with her. It was so simple. It was worth it to save her life. And we did it.
Suddenly, Ruda walked in with a backpack on his shoulders, led by an SS man. This is what happened. We got to Terezin, and 7 people were taken off the train. We were among those 7. All the others went east, to the gas chambers.
Our wedding was in Terezin. We were told that they could not go on protecting us from the transport separately. We had to get married. So we went to the leading elder of Terezin, Edelstein, who told us, "Children, I'll get you the papers for that." The rabbi who married us was authorized to do so in accordance with Czechoslovak law. Then the transport came, and our parents, Eva's and mine, were in it. We decided to join voluntarily. And so we found ourselves in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Every morning, when you woke up, you would be coated with this yellow-orange dust. Get off, old Dad. Hard to believe in God. Or watching through the barbed wire as the Hungarian transports arrived. From 12 to 20,000 people daily. We could see the smoke from the chimneys and feel the peculiar stench of burning bodies. Hard to believe in God. No, you couldn't count on God. God was definitely absent. For if God existed, surely he would not have allowed this to happen. There was a tall chimney, and the SS ordered naked prisoners to march in front of them. Us too. They selected those who were not fit. Eva first got to Hamburg, where they were cleaning up after the bombings, and I was working in a factory in Schwarzheide, making gasoline from lignite. A person starts to think that it's all luck. Luck that we were in Terezin and not in some Polish ghetto. Luck that we were in the family camp. Luck that we got out of there. Luck that we both survived. You can call this luck anything you like. I don't know what condition it's in. This is an interesting thing. This is Eva's diary, which survived the war, November 28th, 1939. This is the cap I wore on the March of Death. I think it shrank a bit. Well, it doesn't matter. This is a really famous item. The shoes I wore on the march. I was lucky they had thick soles and cleats. The cleats almost wore off during the march. It was some 350 or 400 kilometers. At the last moment, the SS lined us up and said, "Now you can go to Terezin." But we thought they were about to shoot us. It was the last time I felt real fear. Then we came back home to beautiful Prague. I found my wife, and when we drove back in 2 trucks, there were about 45 released prisoners. When we got to our border, we all spontaneously descended from the truck, kneeled, kissed the ground, and sang the national anthem.